All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected and where we have more in common than we have differences. Wow. I think, hold on one second. Feeling some oppression from YouTube. How you doing? All right. Thanks for joining me every day on these interwebs. We're live on YouTube, Callin, and on Rockfin. Rockfin people, what's up? How you doing? Oh. Always hit the go live button. Always hit the go live button on Rockfin. Sometimes I forget to do that. Once in a while. Not all the time. All right. Cool. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Real quick before I start, if you appreciate the show, if you appreciate the content I bring you every day, please consider supporting the show in a monetary fashion. You can do it at these direct links here: paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App at Red Llama Music, buymeacoffee.com/Black Bear News. I did get a coffee from Victory Gin yesterday. Thank you, Victory Gin. I appreciate it. You're awesome. Or you can super chat me, super ray me, send me a message. I will read super ray, super chats, and any other messages in the middle of the show or at the end of the show. All right. Thanks, guys. Cop City. Is a place in Georgia. It's a large police training center that they are building because we need more police and we need them to be trained to do things like this. Like take down drive through climate protests. This is from Climate Defiance. This should make you angry, yeah? It looks like they're blocking. I don't know where this is. This is. I'm sorry, I don't have any context for this. But this is some craziness. I mean, this guy is just literally driving his truck at protesters and losing it. What has he got in his hand? Is he got his gun drawn? Jesus. Was that a taser? He literally drove through this protest, took out a weapon and pointed it at people. Oh, really, Andre? Thank you. Really, that's in Nevada. The road to Burning Man. Should block the road to Burning Man, by the way. Sorry to be such a buzzkill. Sorry to be such a Grinch. The road to Burning Man? Absolutely block that. Don't go out and destroy nature to have a good time, people. You can do that in the city. Excuse me. We've already destroyed nature quite a bit, and we can do that in the city. You don't need to go out in nature and destroy some more nature. Just You like that face? I know. I'm a buzzkill. I know. I'm no fun at parties. I don't know. I'm a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Anyways, they're criminalizing protesters who are concerned about the environment. Excuse me. So the activists, the Cop City activists, have been deemed domestic terrorists. And if you were wondering why I was reading that article at the end of the show yesterday, it was to illustrate the fact that your acquiescence, the idea that like somebody should have their rights taken away, free speech taken away, should be labeled domestic terrorists or labeled criminals because you don't like them. The problem with that is that it ends up coming back on you. If somebody does break the law, that's one thing. But if you're protesting is legal, for one, having a dissenting opinion is legal. Absolutely. And speech is speech, right? Speech is not actions or words or any of that. So anyway, so they're cracking down on the protesters around Cop City and putting them on like domestic terrorist lists or classifying them as. One of the protesters, Luke Lucky Harper, was pulled aside. So before boarding a flight from San Francisco to New York last month, Luke Lucky Harper was pulled aside and subjected to a search of his body and his belongings in front of other passengers waiting to board. The experience would have been more upsetting if it wasn't the third time in several weeks Harper was also searched in airports in Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah. His name was called out on a loudspeaker. Officials swabbed his hands, seeking traces of explosives. The 27-year-old aspiring writer had recently been released from jail in DeKalb County, Georgia, after being arrested on state domestic terrorism charges at a music festival on March 5th. He is one of 42 people facing the same charges in Georgia in connection with ongoing protests against a planned police and fire department training center known as Cop City. Another dozen or so people have been arrested and charged with felony stalking of a police officer after handing out flyers. And they were also charged with money laundering, among other charges. Some were jailed in solitary confinement for days without explanation. The arrest marks the first time in the U.S. that state domestic terrorism charges have been brought in connection with environmental or other protests. The first time. The underlying statute has been challenged in court as unconstitutionally vague, according to attorney Stanley L. Cohen, who filed the petition. One of the two prosecuting agencies, the DeKalb County District Attorney's Office, withdrew from the cases altogether in late June, leaving the state attorney general to pursue them. So, this is this is how they come down on environmental protesters. Is one of the ways they come down on environmental protesters. In other parts of the world, they just kill them. So, but there's all kinds of ways to coerce or get people to not want to go out and protest. This is a pretty effective way, I think. Labeling somebody a domestic terrorist might be effective. But again, to go back to the article I was reading yesterday, that's why the designation of people who oppose the official narrative as terrorists is such a scary, frightening development in our history, right? And they do refer back to the McCarthy era, which also had its same kind of footprints, I guess, or fingerprints of just accusing people of back then being communist sympathizers or members of the Communist Party. But people lost their jobs, people lost their standing, people lost their lives. Over the same kind of, and what amounts to fascist tactics. So when they tell you that these freedoms, that you enjoy can be used by the bad people to do the bad things, and that's why we need to curtail those freedoms, you're being hoodwinked. You are being misled, taken down the primrose path. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people fall for it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are like, sure, yeah, it's bad. This free speech, sometimes it's bad because the bad people use it. And pretty soon, you're going to be the bad person. Actually, really soon. How many times have we seen it boomerang on people almost immediately? So I don't know if we're going to go forward in the world and be able to at least, fight the good fight while everything is falling apart. We're going to have to fight these kinds of reactionary attitudes and these kind of knee-jerk motions that, because somebody was propped up as a bad person. We got to stop this person, or these people over here, they're super bad and they're terrible and they want to hurt you and destroy you. That's why we got to take away your basic rights, or their basic rights, but it's basically your basic rights are also taken away too. You think that you still have your rights. They don't have their rights, but you still have your rights. And that's the thing. That's where they get you. Anyways. Fantoma sent me this one about what's this about? This is about AI data being handled by people, basically people overseas who are not being paid well or treated very well. The farming out of data handling for AI purposes, and maybe this isn't a good idea, but also kind of delineating how these companies put themselves forward as being very progressive and paying people living wages and doing no harm, and right, they're seen as kind of like forward thinking, but they utilize the same theft model of capitalism that most companies use. A lot of capitalism runs on exploitation and theft. That's not new news. I know I said something I didn't say anything mind-blowing. I mean, if you understand how capitalism works, it works on exploitation and theft, usually of resources. And the Dr. Seuss book, The Lorax, kind of defines capitalism really well. So these companies, these tech companies, these AI, these future, equity, are using, subpar data mining from people overseas in order to generate their AI. And maybe this is a bad idea. And it seems like a bad model all around. Just give you a synopsis. In dingy internet cafes, jam-packed office spaces, or at home, they annotate the masses of data that American companies need to train their artificial intelligence models. The workers differentiate pedestrians from palm trees. NVIDIA is used to develop the algorithms for automated driving. They label images so AI can generate representations of politicians and celebrities. They edit chunks of text to ensure language models like ChatGPT don't churn out gibberish. More than 2 million people in the Philippines perform this type of crowd work, according to an informal government estimates, as part of AI's vast underbelly. While AI is often thought of as human-free machine learning, the technology actually relies on the labor-intensive efforts of a workforce spread across much of the global South and often subject to exploitation. The mathematical models underpinning AI tools get smarter by analyzing large data sets, which need to be accurate, precise, and legible to be useful. Low-quality data yields low-quality AI, so click by click, a largely unregulated army of humans is transforming the raw data into AI feedstock. In the Philippines, one of the world's biggest destinations for outsourced digital work, former employees say that at least 10,000 of these workers do this labor on a platform called remote tasks, which is owned by the $7 billion San Francisco startup Scale AI. Scale AI has paid workers at extremely low rates, routinely delayed or withheld payments, and provided few channels for workers to seek recourse, according to interviews with workers, internal company messages and payment records, and financial statements. Rights groups and labor researchers say Scale AI is among a number of American AI companies that have not abided by basic labor standards for their workers abroad. So there you go. They're exploiting people in the global South in order to get their data, some of their data for the AI. And this isn't any different from, not so great mining practices, let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. It'd be awesome if companies didn't have to exploit people to make a profit. They don't have to. They just want to. They don't have to exploit people to make a profit. They prefer it. You make more money if you don't pay people what they're worth, right? Oh, hold on 1 second, guys. Give me a moment. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. All right. One more thing I have to do. Just a moment. Alrighty. Let's see. Sorry, too many things going on, and I'm working like 4 jobs. Anyways, this is going on in Australia. Exceptional winter heat wave in western and southern Australia with temperature anomalies up to 16 C above average. Several records for August were broken. 35.4 C in Ayr, 35.3 C Red Rocks Point, 34 Eucla, 33 Mount Magnet, 33 Forest, 31 in Southern Cross. It's been a very warm winter in South America, but also, they've got some of that in Australia as well. From Go Green, a picture, very scary video of a fire tornado. There's still a lot of fires going on in Canada. This is in British Columbia. Once extremely rare fire tornadoes. Increasingly more common. Extreme wildfires can create their own weather, including lightning and high winds. Well, climate change itself also creates more lightning. We've seen a lot. We're seeing a lot more lightning strikes. So I know all the anti-climate changers like to jump to it's all arson. I think there could be a combination of a lot of things going on. But don't forget that there are more frequent lightning strikes now due to climate change. And I've been seeing some amazing videos of lightning going on over the last couple of weeks. Anyways, the lightning and high winds, they can spark new fires long distances away, and smoke can rise in the atmosphere. Anyways, this is nuts. Imagine seeing that coming towards you. Imagine seeing that coming your way. Hopefully you're not standing around during a wildfire. You're not just standing, over on the sidelines like, I wonder what else is going to happen. Let's see. There is warmer water, which is affecting fish's ability to breathe or to stay alive. It's the perfect fuel for storms. Warm ocean water, at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Without it, powerful storms like Andrew, Katrina, and Ian would never have formed. But for certain fish that ply the waters of the world's oceans, exceptionally high ocean temperatures can be a death knell, decreasing the levels of dissolved oxygen in the sea they need to survive. And this year, the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico are warmer than they have ever been on record, with water temperatures in the latter topping 88 degrees during 1 week in August. Scientists at NOAA have been tracking a steady uptick in ocean temperatures since April, and thousands of dead fish have washed ashore in Florida coastal areas from Hallandale Beach to Tampa Bay area and along the Gulf Coast. Also going to look at Adelia a little bit here. Rapid intensification, how Idalia could quickly become a major hurricane before landfall. Idalia is forecast to strengthen rapidly. As it moves north into the Gulf of Mexico, the waters are very warm there, and closes in on the west coast of Florida and will likely be a major Category 3 hurricane as it makes landfall, forecasters said Monday. So it went from being a possible Category 1 to a Category 3, which I didn't think was very hard to predict, honestly. Idalia is poised to rapidly intensify today and tomorrow, meaning it can go from a tropical storm to a very dangerous hurricane in the next couple days, said Brian McNulty, senior research associate at the Rosenstiel School of Marine Atmospheric and Earth Science at the University of Miami, in a Monday morning post on Twitter. Plan to have preparations completed by the time tropical storm conditions arrive and plan to evacuate if told to do so, he said. Rapid intensification is a process in which a storm undergoes accelerated growth. The phenomenon is typically defined to be a tropical cyclone intensifying by at least 35 miles per hour in a 24-hour period. Rapid intensification occurs when a tropical storm or hurricane encounters an extremely conducive environment. Typically, the environment consists of very warm water, low vertical wind shear, and high levels of mid-level moisture. And they're also getting some still extreme weather in Europe. Oh, geez, there's my sound again going weird. This is in Italy, Trieste. I don't know how some areas can survive all these extreme weather events. They seem to be getting blasted like every week. I don't know how you can maintain normalcy after a while. Post from Sam Carana about the breaking up of sea ice in the Arctic. Let's see. The thickest sea ice. God, sorry, my sound is going up and down. You can blame StreamYard for that. It gets really loud and then it gets really low. The thickest sea ice is breaking up and moving out of the Arctic Ocean. Pieces of sea ice that are pushed out of the Arctic Ocean reduce its latent heat buffer as they can no longer consume heat in the Arctic Ocean through melting. Anyways, this is a recent post, August 9th, in the Arctic News blog. The water of the Arctic Ocean is heating up in several ways. One, direct heat. Heat from the sunlight directly reaches the surface, i.e. the sea ice or the water of the Arctic Ocean. The August 8th, 2023 image on the right from Climate Reanalyzer shows a 1 to 3 day forecast of maximum surface temperature. Heat waves over land can extend over the Arctic Ocean. Looks very warm there, yes. High levels of emissions and greenhouse gases over the Arctic increase the amount of heat that is reaching the water of the Arctic Ocean and the sea ice. The NASA satellite image on the right shows smoke from forest fires in Canada moving over the Beaufort Sea and over the sea ice on August 6, 2023. A recent study highlights that forest fires can strongly contribute to the temperature rise. Smoke and soot aerosols settling on the sea ice also darken the surface, resulting in more sunlight getting absorbed. Climate Reanalyzer image below shows that temperature in the Arctic was at a record high for this time of year of 5.64 C or 42.14 Fahrenheit on August 9th. Look at that. Look at that. Good Lord. Earlier, a record temperature of 5.81 C or 42.46 Fahrenheit was reached on July 27th, 2023. Arctic sea ice typically reaches its minimum extent in the middle of September, I guess, when temperatures in the Arctic fall below 0 C and water at the surface of the Arctic Ocean starts refreezing. Hot waters from rivers ending up in the Arctic Ocean is another way the water is heating up, and this is melting the sea ice from the side. The August 10th, 2023 image below from nullschool.net illustrates the added impact of the heat that is carried by rivers in the Arctic Ocean, with sea surface temperatures as high as 20.4 C or 68.7 Fahrenheit recorded at a location where the Mackenzie River flows into the Arctic Ocean at the green circle where the green arrow is pointing right here. On August 6, 2023, the sea surface was 14.5 C or 26.2 Fahrenheit hotter than in 1981, from 1981 to 2011, at a nearby location where the Mackenzie River is flowing into the Arctic Ocean, as illustrated by the image below. Here. Anyways, the image on the right shows that on August 10th, 2023, the sea surface temperature was 17.6 C or 63.7 Fahrenheit. Geez, that seems kind of warm. At a location where the Lena River in Siberia enters the Arctic Ocean, 63.7 Fahrenheit. That is 25.5 Fahrenheit hotter than it was in 1981 to 2011. Anyways. Another way is ocean heat. Yet another way heat is entering the Arctic Ocean is from oceans, from the North Atlantic and Pacific, and this is melting the sea ice from below. Also, sea ice is moving out of the Arctic Ocean. It's getting pushed out into the Atlantic. Even the thickest sea ice can break up into pieces and move along with the flow of meltwater from glaciers, ocean currents, and or strong wind. The animation below, created with the NASA Worldview satellite images, shows the northern tip of Greenland at the top left. This is where typically the thickest sea ice is located. The animation shows the sea ice breaking up and moving out of the Arctic Ocean. What is left of the pieces will eventually melt in the Atlantic Ocean. Pieces of sea ice that are pushed out into the Arctic Ocean reduce the latent heat buffer as they no longer can consume heat in the Arctic Ocean through melting. All right. All right. Checking in on the coffees and or super rays and or whatever else is going on. Oh, Victory Jen sent me a message when she sent me a coffee. She said, "Hey, winner." I like that. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Uh-huh. All righty. No tips yet. We will check back in at the end of the show. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on. Mm-hmm. All right. It's an interesting study. We're going to switch gears just a little bit towards the end of the show. Interesting study about N95 masks containing toxins. Study found that chemicals released by these masks had 8 times a recommended safety limit of toxic, volatile organic compounds. So, just something to consider if you are using a mask to protect yourself. Something to consider that you might be subjecting yourself to some other things. Also, increase CO2, right? Do what you feel is necessary. But having information, I think, is a good thing, right? Mass study published by the NIH suggests N95 COVID masks may expose wearers to dangerous levels of toxic compounds linked to seizures and cancer. Geez. It's from August 27th. And this is the paper right here. Measuring the quantity of harmful volatile organic compounds inhaled through masks. So there you go. Again, it's good to have information if you're doing something to protect your health or, you know. And we're going to quickly listen to this from Dave Smith, another clip of Dave Smith and Joe Rogan on the mysterious rise in all-cause mortality. What could it be? I wonder what it could be. I don't know. They're just going to have a little discussion about it. There's a lot of people that are going like, I don't know. It's so weird. Let's listen to this. Dave Smith, a very smart guy, also very funny.
How are you discounting this 40% increase in all-cause mortality, or whatever the fuck it is? Yeah. What is it now? You know, it depends upon the statistics that you read, but it's like they're getting that from insurance companies, right? Where they're trying to make an assessment of like what's going on, and there's a lot of people that are very nervous about this because. What is the increase in all-cause mortality right now? I think it's like, 18 to 59 or whatever the fuck it is. There's some very bizarre increase. Yeah. And I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson try to say, well, a lot of people were drinking during the pandemic. Like, really? Was there another thing that happened too? Right. That may be really crazy. Could you imagine if so many people started drinking, there was a 40% increase in all-cause mortality? Wouldn't there be... like shows about alcoholism, like ladies and gentlemen, like look at what's happening to our country. There's a 40%. Imagine there was no pandemic, there's no vaccinations. Imagine all of a sudden a 40% increase in all-cause mortality, and then you just kind of casually say, well, I guess a lot more people are drinking now. And you're just not, and you're telling me, and look, by the I'm not even like ruling out the fact that, okay, I think alcohol consumption maybe went up during the lockdowns. That could be a contributing factor to this. But you're telling me the starting point has to be, we rule out this brand new, like, medical intervention. Like, you can't look at that. Right. You're telling me that's the starting point is that can't be part of the conversation. You're trying to ignore this thing. Imagine if these were just variables in an equation that you were tasked with solving. Right. Why would you ignore this very significant variation? Yeah. And then the truth is, like, whatever the rate of vaccine injury is, like whatever that number is, and maybe it's not that high. It's something, okay? It is clearly something, right? Yes. There are clearly there have been a large number of people who have been injured by the vaccine, and then when you look at that and you go,
look, and you guys, your position, the entire establishment position, was everyone should get it.
Yeah.
Everyone should get it. When there were clearly cases where you really don't have an argument, you know, like a healthy young person who's already had COVID, there's just no argument that they should take on whatever that risk is for something that won't even prevent them from getting COVID.
Right.
Again, right? There's no argument for that. But you enforce that on them. You know, you enforce, like, I know, I knew this kid who's like in grad school, and he got double vaccinated because they were going to kick him out of school if he didn't, and then he got COVID, and then a month later they insisted he get a booster. Like, there is no expert on the planet who can give me a compelling scientific answer, reason why that made any sense at all. Why you were doing anything other than to this 26-year-old kid making him take on serious risk.
Well,
nothing better. And you insisted on this. So now, like, it's just crazy that you can't even acknowledge that. Like, yeah, we did give people, like, in many cases, very bad medical advice that had the potential to lead to them being injured.
Yeah, and in many cases did.
Yeah.
Safe and effective, though. The vaccines are very safe and effective. Just remember that. Okay? Just remember that. Yeah, well, we're at like number 8 in the boosters or something, and there's all this talk lately of bringing back COVID things, but they rolled it all out simultaneously with this, like, but we have a new booster coming out in September, so you might want to get that, like, as if it's a not very well hidden marketing plan, right? The marketing plan of, like, putting out a bunch of headlines like, here it comes, there's another variant, it's super it's super mutated, and we have a booster coming out. Like, it just seems, anyways, seems a little transparent. I don't know. So again, get all the information that you possibly can and do what's good for your health. At some point, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At some point, you might want to consider whether this is actually working or not. I don't know. Super safe and effective, though. Super safe and effective the vaccines are. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up now because I have to go do some other things. And I think, covered everything I wanted to cover today. Let's see. Oh, let's listen to this from Luc Montagnier. Is that how you say his name? Last thing I'll play for you. Talking about COVID being developed in a lab. Before he died, Professor and Nobel Prize winner Dr. Luc Montagnier expressed concerns that COVID was artificially created and modified. He said, "This is a professional job, a meticulous one." They even added an HIV sequence in there. Was he a kook? Was he a loony? He was a Nobel Prize winning doctor. And they only give those to, lunatics. They only give them to lunatics, Nobel Prizes, right? To people who don't know what they're doing, total crackpots, not experts in their field, right? You guys getting a picture? I think most of you understand the picture. I think you all are getting a picture. Anyways, I don't know. I'm hoping this isn't all in French. It is in French. Forget it. I'm not going to play this, but I'm just reading the Anyways, he said this is not normal. This is a professional job done by a molecular biologist. This is what Dr. Luc Montagnier said. Tu parles français, ring-tailed fox. Bon. Let's see. Nah, I'm not gonna play it. I don't know if it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's necessary. I think I'm gonna check the coffees one more time. Check up the platforms real quick. The Rockfins real quick. Other very varied and sundry places. You know? All right. No messages from the good folks. All right. So, guys, I will see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And thanks for hanging out with me today and every day. Thank you for your eyes, ears, and your conscience. And I will see you tomorrow. Until next time, peace.